Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another recap of Divorce by Tyler Perry's Divorce Sistas, Season 1, Episode 3, Hush Tones. Let's get into it. So it continues off with Geneva and Javon downstairs while William went upstairs to take Nika to bed and read her a story. So he's talking to her like, is she mine? So their time frame of being together coincidentally matches up with the time frame of her doing her IVF and getting pregnant with Anika. And to my understanding, it seemed as if they didn't do it just one time. So she was like, Geneva was like, no, she's not. Like, he was like, he came back for her, confessed her love for her. And that's the whole reason why he went away in the first place because he couldn't stand, doing what he was doing to his wife but also being with Geneva, so he decided to end things and then come back. So them two got into a heated argument. He was talking about how we waited 6 years for this, and he was like 5 years and 11 months, and he was like, we dreamed about this. We talked about leaving our spouses to be together. We dreamed about having a family, naming our daughter Anika, and it's just like, dang, Geneva. It's like, girl. But by this time, William done came downstairs. Was like, listen, it's time to go. He dapped up Javon. And he was like, baby, let's go. And she was just disheveled a little bit, trying to gather her thoughts. And she was like, all right, I'm coming. And then they left. So they're getting in their car to drive to the banquet. Meanwhile, by this time, First Lady Rashida and Pastor Jeff, they're in their car heading to the banquet. And he was like, this is the first time we actually been together. And in the same car, he was like, "Yeah, I didn't want to ride with you, but to save face and to show that we're like this it power couple, and for the church, why not? Why not be it?" And he was like, one of the reasons why I don't want to be around you like that because you nag. And he's like, "This is what we're doing right now." She was like, "This is not nagging. This is just talking and seeing if we could work through it." And she was like, "Dang, our kids were right." It's like he's doing stuff outside of the church and outside of his marriage, I presume. Because if you wasn't doing none of this stuff, you wouldn't be so hostile to your wife. People who are always like doing hurtful things to others, like they say, hurt people, it definitely shows. You wouldn't be so defensive. You wouldn't be so hostile. You wouldn't be easy to catch an attitude about simple things like if did you put your shoe on the right foot? People break down and go crazy over that. Simple stuff like that. It's like it's a conflict and it's an issue. So they eventually arrive. Excuse me. They eventually arrive. Hold on. Oh, sorry guys. They eventually start talking back and forth. He was talking about how he basically saved her life and put her into like this good lifestyle that she is. And she was like, did you forget it was my grandfather's endowment fund that paid for this church? And he was like, so basically, what are you trying to insinuate? If you were going to do something, you were insinuating something wrong. She was like, I already did. So basically, she actually paid for her own lifestyle. You was just a mere added bonus, in my opinion. You thinking you did so much for her when in all actuality it was her doing so much for you and you're not seeing the bigger picture. You're just seeing it as constant nagging and complaining, but she's trying to tell you she's been there for you this whole entire relationship or whatever, but you don't even got her back, and it shows because you want to try to put her down and try to big yourself up when you want to build both y'all up together. But anyway, nonetheless, meanwhile, Naomi, she's getting ready to go to the banquet. Her team, Duffy and the rest of them, they were getting her ready. She was like, "Come on, you need to hurry up." So she was like, "You took so long," in there with her other friend. She's like, Carol had to end up going home. Next, the other dude runs out. I was like, "She's coming, she comes." She comes out with this beautiful dress, looking amazing, getting ready to head out. But just then, she has a knock on the door. Open it, it's the police. At first, she was like, "Y'all not coming in here." She's like, "What is this all about?" And he was like, um, "Can we speak to you outside?" She was like, "I'm not going with you outside." But her friend Duffy was trying to convince her, like, "Just go outside because it could be a lot worse." Next, they was just going back and forth. In comes one of Franklin's lawyers, and she was just like so passive aggressive. At one minute, she was like, "I'm not going." Then she, "I am gonna go." Then she was like, "Don't put your hands on me." And then it's like, "Okay, you could take this off." It's like, girl, make up your mind. So after all that transpired, Franklin's lawyer said she supposed to give back all of the stuff that was in their clauses from their divorce settlement. And I guess she wasn't trying to do that, so they came in and took it. They took her furs, they took her $4 million paintings, they took both of the cars. They ended up trying to take the safe, but she couldn't. They couldn't get into that. Then they also wanted the watch, the ring, and the earrings that she had on. So the police was like, lawyer was like, "Officer Declan, take it." She's like, "You're not touching me. You're not touching me. Right? Stop putting your hands on me. Stop putting your hands on me." Next, so she was like, "All right, I'll take them off myself. Duffy, help me take these off." So she ended up taking off the earrings. She threw them out the down the yard, and then was like, "I still need to watch the ring." And they manhunt her to take it off, but she could have just been cordial and just took the stuff off and just like, "Let's just take it." But she trying to fight back. This girl, be the bigger person. Like, I don't know what their whole situation is, but I just know it seems ugly, real ugly and toxic. So, nevertheless, she ended up they ended up giving her to keep the Cadillac. She was so tight and all right. She ended up driving off, leaving her friends behind. So at this time, Geneva, William, and Giovanna are in the same car driving. Duffy ends up calling Geneva. She doesn't answer at first, and then William is trying to hit Javon off with some of her single friends, meaning the other girls, Tiffany, Bridget, and Rashida. So he was telling her, like, "Listen, I don't think about it right now. I got my eyes on somebody else." Meanwhile, by this time, they're asking Geneva questions. It's like, "Oh, I got to call Duffy back to like throw them off, whatever." So she ended up calling Duffy back. Duffy was like, "They came and took everything," and she was like, "Yeah, I know everything that she's supposed to give Franklin back from the settlement. That judge was not playing. He said give that stuff back, or there's gonna be consequences." And obviously, she had to deal with the consequences, and he still have to give the stuff back. So meanwhile, by this time, everybody done arrived to the banquet hall. Tiffany's already in there. In walks Rashida. They're having a moment, and then stuff like that. Oh, I skipped the whole part. While they're driving, William and them, they're all the pastor called, and there was like to Bridget because her boyfriend Vaughn came, and he was in his waiter attire, right? And her head guy that's in charge of has helped setting up the banquet thought he was one of his workers. He was like, "I don't work for you. I don't even know you." Rich had to come over there because she started handing him come up. She was like, "Listen, he's a guest." And he was like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." "Don't worry about it, just go back to your job." Vaughn was like upset with the fact. He was like, "Listen, why you keep saying I'm a guest? I'm upset. You're hurting my feelings." She was like, "Boy, just going somewhere." So he was like, "I got to get me a drink because it's it's I gotta get a drink." So she storms off. He storms off, and she goes back to setting up the tables and whatever they say it's gonna be. By this time, Tiffany's there, Rashida's there. They're in the bathroom having the moment. Next, all the girls come out and looking nice and ever so. Come to find out, um, Bridget wanted Vaughn to sit all the way at the far end of the table on the other side, but he was like, "No, I'm gonna sit with you." So everybody ended up sitting at the table. William wanted Javon to sit next to Tiffany at the table, and you could tell Geneva was feeling some type of way. It's like she is literally torn. She got a husband who dearly loves her, but she feels that if he's cheating on her, and then she has her sneaky link sitting across from her, trying to hit on her best friend, and it's just like she's torn. She ended up having a moment and getting up from the table. William was like to Rashida, go check on her, please, because she seems like she's acting strange and stuff like that. So they end up going into the bathroom, talking, having a moment. She basically tells Rashida that, what really happened between them, and she feels some type of way about Tiffany and Javon flirting and talking with each other. So it's just like, yeah, I know William could tell that something is off, so he wanted me to come check on you anyway. By this time, Bridget and Vaughn are talking at the table. Vaughn ends up saying some like weird and like bugged out stuff to the pastor and the rest of the guys at the table, and they were just like, shut up at this point. Meanwhile, Myron was like, Bridget, tell this man to go home. Like, he's just basically just doing too much. So he got an attitude behind that. She didn't go checking on him. And it was just like, at this point, maybe it is time for you to just go home. And he was like, I'm going home, but I'm going to take your car. She was like, so if you go home, how am I going to get home? And she was like, no, exactly no. So he stormed off again, and she's just like, oh god, just whatever. But meanwhile, this time Tiffany gets up from the table. She ends up going to knock on the door because she got to go to the bathroom. So she's wondering what's going on with Geneva because she's just a little distraught and crying. And she was like, "Are you okay?" She was like, "I gotta pee." Rashida turned around. She was like, I thought you said you had to pee." She was like, "Yeah, I do. Bathroom's that way. So go to the bathroom. You go pee, whatever." By this time, everything is done. Um, they end up calling after Tiffany comes out the bathroom and Bridget comes in. They end up calling whatever. Um, they call Naomi, and Naomi's distraught coming out of the liquor store, drinking and talking like that. That she's not trying to go to the bank, even though she's dressed up to go. Talking about how she gave everything back. Jenny was just like, "I told you, I had to give everything back," and Naomi was like, "What kind of lawyer are you?" And it was just like, whatever. So she ended up hanging up the phone, and by this time, the girls, they come out of the bathroom talking or whatever the case may be after Rashida helped Geneva calm down and fix her face. Tiffany was like, I guess whenever y'all ready to talk about it, y'all can let me know. She was like, alright, cool. And then when they walked out the bathroom, next thing you know, they get back to the table. Bridget turns around. She's like, this day cannot get any worse. In walks Franklin with his new wife, rocking those 10-carat yellow diamond earrings that Naomi threw in her yard. So I guess they really found him after all. And yeah, as they were walking out, she was like, "Is the dragon lady here?" And Rashida was like, "The dragon lady." Naomi, not Naomi. Tiffany chimed in and was like, "Who's the dragon lady? You must be talking about Naomi. Well, for information, she's not here." She was like, "Yeah, I'm just playing." Girl, you cannot be playing. It's like, I guess Franklin is playing both sides of the field, putting stuff in this girl's ear. Mind you, they don't even know you. And everybody, when they walked in, everybody was looking like, "What the heck? What's going on?" Like, 'cause those are all Naomi's friends, and he brung this new girl all around. So it's like now he's sitting at the table with them, and then they're talking and they're having a moment. They just want to fill out who Lindsay is. And at the last minute, they was like, "This, yeah, could not get any worse." Bridget turns around again, and just so happens, Naomi walks in. She walks up to the tables, giving everybody highs and whatever. She gets to where the rest of the people are at, and she was like, "So you're talking to her?" And it was just like, Bridget, yeah, mhm. A lot has happened so far, and I'm just like, ooh, the tea is definitely piping hot. I can't wait to see what happens next week. They're going to address the elephant in the room. Naomi, Lindsay, and Franklin. Because right now, that's just where we at. Hopefully, they make enough money at this banquet. Besides all the drama that's going on and transpiring. Because at this moment, it's looking messy. So, with that being said, Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this recap and stay tuned for the next one. Bye.